Hello and welcome back. The next lesson of the Mom's Taxi app. Now, I was giving somebody some advice this weekend and it relates directly to achieving anything in life. Now, I know a lot of you are watching these videos and are working through these apps. And as with so many things, you find that there's always at the start, there's an influx. And then as time goes, there's more and more people dropping out. And that's the normal, the way that things actually go. That's human behavior. But the question I ask is, why do people drop out? Why do they start something and then they drop out? Whether it's fitness or weight loss or a business or learning something new. And the answer is they don't have a vision in mind. They don't really understand themselves why they are doing this. And once you have your vision and once you understand why you are doing this and what drives you, what motivates you, I promise you nothing will be able to stop you. So as long as you have that vision in mind, as long as you're focused on that vision, then every morning you'll wake up and that's all you'll want to do. You'll want to achieve that vision. So with a project like this, a coding project like this, the vision is obviously to complete this app and to deploy it to a mobile device so you can actually see an app that you built operating on an actual mobile device. Without any delays, let's get down to back to coding. So let's go to our style sheet and we're going to target it by using the full stop and typing in the word container. Now what your spelling needs to match 100% this spelling here. If the spelling is not right, your code simply will not work. And don't forget the dot here. It's a common error where people miss out the dot. Next, your open curly braces and you hit enter. And then we're going to set a width to 100%, semicolon, and a padding top. Now padding means to leave a space. So we're going to leave a space on top of 4 REM. REM is a measure, just like you'd get centimeters and millimeters. So in CSS, REM is a type of measurement and we are going to leave 4 REM spaces a space of 4 REM at the top of our page. All right, let's save this and check it out in the browser. Now back in the browser, hit refresh, and you can't see much else except that the display has moved 4 REM. It's moved a certain space. Now this space is 4 REM from the top. Okay, now we're going to start styling these labels here. This text over here, we're going to make it look a lot more attractive. So again, dot labels. Now this refers to the labels in there. Class equals labels. Can you see a pattern emerging here? Class is equal to container. Class is equal to labels. Here's another class is equal to labels. So we are targeting everything, every element on the page that has a class is equal to labels. Now let's look at the output. There's the first item with class labels and the second item that belongs to the class labels. So both of these items are going to be styled together. So back in our style sheet, labels, hit enter, and then we're going to start with a padding top of 4 REM. Then we're going to give it a color. I don't think this is strictly necessary because we've already got the color up there, but just to be more specific, we're going to give it a color of FFF. Do you remember what color this is? This is white. And then a font size. Oops, my spellings are all wrong today. Font size of 6VW. Okay, let's save this and refresh. Can you see that? Instantly, we're seeing a huge change. The next thing we're going to do is to style this go button. We're going to come back to the inputs. We'll do the inputs in the next lesson because these take a bit of explanation. But let's style this button for now. Okay, so let's look at our style sheets again. So button ID is equal to go. Now we're going to target this ID here. So we're going to say hash go and put in curly braces. Now the question you might ask is, we got three different types of selectors here. One is the body selector, which doesn't have a dot or a hash. Then we've got container and labels that are preceded by a dot. And then we got go, which is preceded by a hash. What's the difference? Why is it that there's no symbol there and then there's the dot there, there's the hash there? Now I'm not going to go into any detailed explanations about these. If you really want to deep dive into HTML and CSS, you can sign up for our Entrepreneur course on the IT Varsity website. We're going to start off with a margin top, and we're going to give it a margin top of 4 rem. A background color of hash FFF. Now what have I done here? Look at this. What's FFF? When you hover over it, you see it's white. So which one is, oh, this is a mistake here. There was an error in my code. So which one is correct? That's white, and that's also white. 6 Fs in a row and 3 Fs in a row are the same. How is that? Now that's the cool thing about CSS. You don't have to type all 6 Fs. You can type 3 of the Fs and CSS will understand that it's white. So this is kind of a short form of writing the color white, the hexadecimal code for the color white. Next, we give it a border of 0 and a width, goodness, what is wrong with my spelling? Width of 80%. All right, let's check this out now. Let's save it and refresh the browser. There we go. We can see it's got a width of 80%. The color has taken effect. It's white now. The button is white. But we're going to continue styling this guy. Let's leave some spaces there so you can see this better. After width, we're going to give it a height of 5 rem. Save that, refresh. There we go. So why did we make this button so big? It's to make it touch friendly. Remember, you'll find on touch interfaces that usually buttons are much bigger than on click interfaces. Moving on, we give it a font size. Obviously the font needs to be bigger, of 2 rem. Let's have a look. Refresh. There we go. The font is nice and big. And the last thing we want to do is to give this button rounded borders, which will make it look a lot more attractive than these very sharp looking square borders. So we do that by setting its border radius. There we go. And we'll give this 0.5 rem. Now if you remember your 0.5 em. Now the difference between em and rem and vw, we touch on all these, or we go into much more detail in the Entrepreneur course, but this is not the time and place for that. So 0.5, if you remember your school maths, is half. 0.5, which is half. Save this and refresh. And there we go. Beautiful. So we've styled our labels and we've styled the button. Now in the next lesson, we are going to style these input boxes to make them look a lot more attractive than they currently are. So I'll catch you in the next lesson.